Now let's talk about how the multipolar world might defend against this super weapon of Washington's. Russia and China have both devised able defenses against this US superweapon of political capture. Both nations either demand transparency from so-called non-governmental organizations, which in reality are funded by the US government and serve US government interests, funded from abroad, or they've banned them altogether. Both nations have also secured their respective information space, restricting or banning US-based social media platforms, working together with the US State Department to manipulate public opinion and even manipulate national identity in targeted nations, and overseeing the flow of information with their own domestic social media platforms. In other words, if a social media platform is going to operate in any given country, it is better that the government there and the people determine how it is used than Silicon Valley and the US State Department determining that for you and your country and your population. Both nations have robust domestic media industries promoting their own respective values, as well as international media platforms that communicate their side of the story to global audiences. RT, CGTN, Sputnik, these are examples. What both nations have so far failed to do, however, is extend this expertise to partner nations. Both nations already sell a wide variety of defensive systems to partner nations to defend traditional national security domains, including airspace, land borders, and shores. Russia, China sell warships to partner nations, aircraft to defend their airspace, warships obviously defending their shores, tanks, artillery, air defense systems. All of these are exported to partner nations to help them defend their traditional national security domains. However, both nations have failed so far to communicate the critical need in the 21st century to defend a nation's information space in the first place. And neither has integrated the means of defending a nation's information space into these exports. So in other words, they could export the means to defend information space alongside all of these military means to defend their physical domains. In fact, both nations have failed so far to communicate the critical need in the 21st century to defend a nation's information space in the first place. You don't really hear the Chinese or the Russian government talking at forums about the importance of information space and defending it from US interference. Russia and China could export turnkey social media networks nations could set up and oversee themselves within their respective information spaces, displacing US-based networks and reasserting control over the flow of information within their own borders. This would allow nations and their people to decide what information can and cannot be shared instead of deferring to Silicon Valley and their partners in the US State Department. A similar package could be offered to help nations set up international media platforms like Russia's RT or Sputnik and China's CGTN, as well as domestic international pipelines for producing local journalists, educators, and future politicians and diplomats that reflect that nation's best interests, not Washington's and Wall Street's interests, as programs like the US State Department's Fulbright and Young Leadership Initiatives do. In other words, the US has entire programs that recruit young people in these targeted nations, in nations like Thailand. They see that they're interested in the media or going into politics or going into business, and they essentially recruit them and they give them these free scholarships or fellowships. They literally go to Europe and or the United States, and they're brought into these professional and personal networks before being sent back to their country. And they feel so special by being chosen by the US. They think they're special, and they will do almost anything to remain locked into those personal and professional networks. And Empire has always done this. They've always taken young people, brought them to the capital, and basically indoctrinated them, and then sent them back to work as administrators for the Empire rather than as a form of resistance against it. And that is all the US is doing through Fulbright and the young leadership initiatives that it maintains in Africa, Eurasia, here in Southeast Asia. In other words, what Russia and China can do is help these nations train people in their own country to become journalists, to report the news in a way that benefits these nations' best interests, rather than have them indoctrinated in the West, sent back to their country, and then just repeat what the Western media is saying, amplifying US and European propaganda rather than fighting against it and exposing it.